Hey, welcome back to another devlog from my game House in Hand, a Merge 3 puzzle roguelike about building little cities on little islands. This devlog will be a little bit different from my normal ones. Since I don't really have any big new features to show, I thought I'd just do a more casual vlog style video of my week working on the game. My main goal this week was just to get a build of the game finished so that I could send it to playtesters. This involved a lot of bug fixing and a lot of content creation for my game, so let's get right into it. Hey, it's Monday, and I'm still working on getting the playtest build finished. Since the last devlog, I've just been fixing a lot of bugs, and that's probably what I'll continue doing today. I've got some more complex bugs that I've been putting off fixing, so I think that's what I'm going to try to tackle now. I'll check in when I've made some progress. First bug I fixed was actually adding back in the wild card and robber chance. This is just a system that adds a chance to draw a robber card or a wild card. The robber card forces you to play a robber, and the wild card will complete any combination, but if you play it without completing combination, it turns into a desert, which is totally useless. Code is pretty simple. Basically, in the draw card function, we just create two random floats, and if the float is less than the wild card chance or the robber chance, we just draw the respective card. I'm currently storing the robber chance on the data for the individual levels. The idea here is that a level could randomly have like a super high robber rate or something like that. Right now it's just a hard-coded value, but this leaves me the flexibility to change that in the future. Similarly, the wildcard chance is just a hard-coded value, but in the future I'll probably add various ways to affect that number. That one was a bit of a low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to try to tackle a couple of other easy bugs before jumping into the more complex ones. After work though, I'm going rock climbing, so I don't think I'll have any more time to work on the game tonight. Hey, just a quick check-in here. It's now Tuesday, but I don't really have a lot of time to work on the game today. It's actually my girlfriend's birthday, so we're going out to dinner tonight, and I just don't really have a lot of time. But really, I've just been trying to brainstorm new policy ideas. I have about 5 in the game right now, but I'll obviously need a ton more before launch, so that's kind of what I've been doing today, as well as just like still fixing bugs. Hey, it's Wednesday afternoon and I've made a bit of progress. Something that I've been wanting to improve for a while now is the RNG in the game. One of the biggest annoyances in the current game is that sometimes you just get screwed by the randomly generated islands. Sometimes they're too dense with too many robbers or deserts or whatever, and sometimes they're way too sparse with only like 1 or 2 features, which just feels sort of lame. Previously, I was just doing genuine random generation where I looped through the grid, and based on a arbitrary density value, I decided whether or not to place a feature in that grid position, and just by the nature of random numbers, this could end up being super weird. I still don't think I have the perfect solution, but I did come up with something that feels a lot better. Basically what I'm doing now is just picking from a set of predefined layouts. This is what it looks like in the code. I just manually wrote a bunch of 2-dimensional arrays where 1 means place a feature and 0 means don't place a feature. And in the generation code, I just grab one of those random configs and then loop through that config to decide whether or not I place a random feature. It's a pretty simple solution, honestly, but so far I think it works pretty well. If we jump into the actual game, we can see it in action. I have a dev cheat to just generate a new island, but if I click through a few times, you can see it looks pretty good. And it's hard to tell that they're a bunch of predefined layouts because the features themselves are still random. I still think it could use a bit more work because the features that get generated are still a little weird. You know, they might combine into a bigger feature, or you might still get a bunch of deserts and robbers, but for a first pass, I'm pretty happy with it. Next, I think I really just need to buckle down and brainstorm a ton of new policies, so I'll check in when I have some progress on that. Another piece of functionality that I needed that I didn't actually have in the game was a way to automatically kill robbers. So I created this auto die range variable, which is just a vector 2 that represents the range of turns that the robber should die in So if the policy says that robbers die in 3 to 5 turns, this vector will be 3 to 5. The way this actually handles killing them is basically when the range is set, and if it's not -1, -1, and the auto die age isn't -1, we just get a random number between the auto die range, and then add that random number to the current age, which gives us an auto die age. So for example, if the robber has been around for 5 turns, their age will be 5. And then we set the auto die range to 3 to 5, then we'll get a random number between 3 and 5 and add that to their age. For example, it could be 1, and then their auto die age would be 6. So then when they reach age 6, this should die function will return true. Then in the grid manager class, when we're actually processing these moving entities for when they need to move and all of that, we basically just check should they die, and if they should, we replace them with their death feature, which in this case would be a grave, and then we continue to skip over this entity in our kind of processing loop. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is, and in game we can kind of see this working. I have a debug key that will just set the auto die age for all robbers on the current map to 3 to 5. So now if I hit that, and then we play a couple of turns, you'll see these two automatically died over there, but these two stayed alive. Now that one's dead. Now that one's dead. This guy didn't get his auto die age set because I didn't hit the debug key again, so he'll probably stay alive, but I can kill him. There we go. So now the kind of automatically killing robbers functionality works, so I can use that in policies as well. One of the policy ideas I had was to give you a bonus of the gold you earned after a round, but the current gold bonuses that you get at the end of the round were kind of just placeholders. It's really just what I called an overscore bonus and a quick round bonus, and I don't think either of these are very good reward metrics. Something that I think might make sense is that if you get more gold based on the number of empty positions on your island after you beat the round, but I didn't actually have any functionality for that, so that's what I just added here. This code does is basically just gets the empty positions and then the total positions on the island, and then gets the percent of that, and then just gives you 2 gold for every 25% roughly. So if, for example, your island was 50% empty, you'd get around 4 gold. Then I just updated the results screen to include this kind of empty percent. Then in game, if I just use my dev cheat to beat this level really fast, you'll see now 56% empty, we get 4 gold. I don't know if this is perfect or really even the best way to do this, but I do think it's a good start to kind of start messing with the gold rewards you get after you beat a round. I'm pretty happy with how progress is coming. I feel like I got a lot done today. It's obviously not the end of the day, but I'm about to go climbing, and most of the time when I get back from climbing, I'm a little too tired to work on the game, so we'll see if I have the energy after climbing, but if not, I'll just check in probably tomorrow or something when I'm working on the game again. Something I've been noticing with these updates is that I'm like really bad at explaining my code while like stepping through the code and like clicking on it and like just explaining the code in general. So sorry for the kind of weird updates. Normally for these kind of devlogs, I do like a big script and I read the script and stuff. This time I've just been kind of going off the cuff, so sorry if it sucks and it's annoying you. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll never do this again. I don't know. But anyways, I'm gonna go climbing and then I will check in later. Hey, it's Thursday evening and I've just finished up all my work for today. It's been crazy stormy and windy this week in Seattle, so I've been kind of freezing all day, but that's okay. I was still able to make some progress on brainstorming policies. I've got this list of policies here, and as you can see, I've divided them into different sections. There's common policies, uncommon policies, and eventually there will be rare policies once I think of some. The idea here is that the common policies should be gotten early and are kind of your bread and butter policies of your build. They'll trigger often, but only give a small score score boost, and then as your build starts to ramp up, you might replace them with an uncommon or rare policy that's more specific but gives you a higher score bonus. My idea with this is that the first couple of policies you get should be more general while you're figuring out what your build will be, and then later you can start specializing a bit more. For example, you may get this policy that just gives you more points for all tier 1 features, but as the game goes on, you update your deck so that you have a bunch of forest features, and then you maybe replace that policy with a policy that gives you more points when you specifically play forest features. To be honest, I'm not really sure this will work out in practice, but I think it's a good start, and after I get feedback from playtesters, I can figure out how to improve it. Another thing I wanted to draw your attention to is this list of terms at the top. Oftentimes in games there will be words that are highlighted that you can hover over and see a definition for. That's basically what these are. Trying to establish a kind of universal language for the game so I can refer to things in the same way everywhere. For example, the forest type, mountain type, field type, and grave type terms refer to the evolution paths of the various features, so like cities would be a forest type because they evolve from towns, which evolve from forests. This way, if I have a policy that affects forests, towns, cities, and keeps, I can just say that it affects forest type features, which is a lot easier. I also have this term wither, which is kind of like a status effect I came up with. When a feature withers, it can no longer combine with anything, but it'll completely disappear from the island in a few turns. I also added the terms oasis and magical well. These are things that the deserts can turn into, with the oasis scoring periodically while it's on your island, and the magical well just increasing your wildcard chance. None of this stuff is actually implemented in the game, it was just stuff I thought of while I was brainstorming new policies, so it's very possible that the wither thing or the oasis and magical well things just like completely don't work. Again, they're just going to need a lot of playtesting. My next step is to actually implement the functionality needed to create these new policies. The way policies work right now in the code is they all have this trigger function which accepts a turn context as an argument. The turn context just has various info about the turn that just happened, like what feature was played and if any evolutions happened. The policy is then in charge of doing the actual stuff to affect the game. For some policies like this one, the turn context argument is really all it needs to run its trigger functionality. However, some policies will have more complex effects, and that's where the game manager will come in. The base policy class has access to the game manager, and since the game manager is the top level node of the whole game, I'll probably just write a bunch of functions to help the more complicated policies trigger their effects. Basically, the game manager will just act as a mediator for the functionality the policy needs. I'm also going to try to make these functions as flexible as possible so that multiple policies can use the same ones, but I'm okay if I end up having to just write a bunch of bespoke functions. I'm always kind of in favor of just typing more to avoid super complex abstractions. Anyway, filming this took a bit longer than I expected, and it's just about dinner time. I'm also super tired. I just started this part-time kind of side job teaching kids to code, which has been super rewarding, but very tiring. I've also been using the game engine Scratch to teach the kids, which has been super cool and interesting. I think I might make a video about teaching or Scratch or something like that in the future. But tonight, I think I'm just gonna relax and go heads down on coding this functionality tomorrow. Hey, it's Friday now and I've made some progress on that withered status effect I was talking about yesterday. The basic idea is that features now have variables to keep track of whether or not they're withered and the turn number at which they became withered. That way I can increase the odds of them getting removed from the island the longer they've been withered. Basically, after one turn of being withered, there's a 20% chance it disappears. After turn 2, it's 40% chance, and so on until turn 5 when it's 100% chance. The way this works in the code is I added a new withered boolean and a new int for the withered age, and in the setter of the boolean, I just set the withered age to our current age. Age is just the number of turns that this feature has been on the island. Then in the level manager class, when I advance a turn, I first increase the age of the feature, and then if the feature is withered, I do the calculations to see if that feature should be removed. This is kind of a clunky way to handle this, and if I end up having a bunch of status effects, I'll probably have to refactor this functionality, but it's fine for now. However, there's currently no way for features to actually become withered, so I'm going to work on that next. Okay, so I've set up just a debug function that will wither a random feature just to make sure that the functionality actually works. So if I hit my debug key, you'll notice that this one has gotten a bit more transparent. That's just kind of my placeholder visual effect to show that a feature is withered. And then if we play a few turns, oh, okay, so on the first turn, that one disappeared. We wither another one, like this robber just got withered. We play a few turns. He disappears after 3. So the wither functionality is working pretty well. Next, I just need to ensure that withered features can't actually combine. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. Making sure that the feature can't combine when it's withered was as simple as just adding this if check in my flood fill algorithm. This whole portion of the code is basically just checking for all the different reasons that a cell or feature might not connect with the one that it's trying to connect to. Now in the game, we'll see that if one of our trees here is withered, it doesn't actually show the connection preview where the features will pulse, indicating that they can combine. And if we place this tree, it doesn't actually combine because this one's withered. So we can see that all of this withered functionality is working pretty well. Now I just need to continue adding the different functionality that the rest of the new policies need. Hey everyone, I'm back on Saturday. I didn't end up working in the game again last night. I just got back from climbing and ended up watching Stranger Things, the new season, which is very good. Starts off really strong. But yeah, I'm back to working on the game today, and the first thing I did actually was I have a new policy that gives you an extra gold reward at the end if you have a banked wild card. But I realized that my card banking system actually wasn't working. At some point I had taken it out or it got removed somehow. So first thing I did today was just add that back in, and I don't know if I've ever actually talked about that in a video. So in game here you have this little bank card button thing in the bottom corner, and if you click on it, the current card you have kind of gets stored or banked for later, and so then you can swap it with whatever card you have, and you can kind of save that card for later. You can also bank like robbers, so if you just really don't want to play the robber at that time, you can bank it and then wait till later to play it. But yeah, that was just a quick change. I just kind of had to basically re-add that functionality back in. It wasn't broken or anything, it just got taken out at some point. Now I'm going to continue working on the policies and maybe add the one that affects the banked cards as well. So I was working on adding the policy that gives you extra gold if you have a wild card banked at the end of the round, and I realized that I actually didn't have any way to trigger any sort of functionality from the policies at the round end. So in the policy base class, I just implemented this round end trigger, and then for our wild card banked bonus policy, I just loop through the banked cards you currently have, and if one of them creates a desert, which is only the wild card, it sets this to true and then returns 6. In the level manager class, at the end of a round, we just loop through all of our policies and we run all of their round end trigger functions, and then we add that to a variable called policy gold, and then we add that to our total gold earned. We then pass the policy gold into the round context, which the results screen will take in and then just update the shown results accordingly. So if we take a look in the actual game, I have my wildcard banked bonus policy, and if I just hit a dev cheat to draw a wildcard and then I bank it and then I beat this level, you'll see I actually get 6 gold from my wildcard banked bonus. So it's all working pretty well, and I think I have a few other policies that will utilize this kind of round end trigger functionality, but I was also realizing that I probably need a round start functionality as well for the policy that starts you with a banked wildcard, and a few others that I think have functionality that need to run at the start of a round, so I'm going to work on that now. Okay, so getting the round start trigger functionality was just as simple as adding a round start trigger function to the policy class. And here in the actual policy that gives you the banked card, it basically just banks a card of wildcard type, which is super simple. And then in the level manager, we just loop through all of the policies and run their round start trigger functions in the start level function. So all pretty straightforward and simple stuff. Okay, so I've made a ton of progress today. I have now, I think, like 18 policies, whereas before I had like 5. So I'm super excited about that. I feel like the game is coming together and the playtest build will be done super soon, but I actually have to go mail some presents. I'm staying in Seattle this year for the holidays instead of going home, so I'm mailing all my presents to my family. So I'm gonna go take care of that, and then maybe I'll continue working on the game later tonight, but we'll see. I definitely want to try to get the playtest build done this weekend and then send it out to people on maybe Monday. That way they have kind of a longer stretch of time over the holidays to playtest the game before getting back to me. I think right now functionally it's in a good place. I just need to playtest it personally, since I just added a ton of policies and I kind of just arbitrarily added how much they cost and the point bonuses they give you, so I'm going to need to tweak those numbers a bit before sending it out to the playtesters. But yeah, I'll check in again soon. Hey, so it's Sunday now, and I didn't end up working on the game again last night. I actually ended up watching the last couple episodes of Stranger Things, and it was incredible. I won't spoil anything, but if you're not watching Stranger Things, you really should be watching Stranger Things. Anyways, This morning I just wrapped up the last couple of policies that I wanted to make, so now I have a total of 19 policies. I definitely think I'll need more in the final game, but I think this is a good variety to start playtesting, so now I'm just going to playtest the game myself and try to tweak the numbers until they feel somewhat right before sending it out to actual playtesters. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. Spent the first part of the day just playtesting the game over and over and tweaking stuff, and I think I got it to a place that feels pretty good. So now I'm going to focus on getting the build up on itch and then sending it out to people. If you're interested in playtesting the game, it's not too late. The link for the contact form will be in the description. If you already signed up, thank you so much. You will be hearing from me soon, if you haven't already by the time this video is out. But I'll probably do a couple of rounds of playtesting, so definitely if you're interested, please sign up. After that, I wanted to get some Christmas vibes, so we went out to a plant nursery, and there just happened to be a concert from the cello choir of the Seattle Philharmonic, so that was really cool. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to end the devlog. It's already getting a bit long. Thanks for sticking around if you did. I know this one was a little bit more rambly and a little bit more kind of off the cuff than my normal ones. Let me know in the comments if you liked that or if you hated that. Don't forget to like and subscribe and wishlist the game on Steam. And yeah, see you next time.